Welcome, everybody. This is Milana Leshinsky, and I'm the founder of Coaching Genie, a platform for coaches that gives you an all-in-one client portal so you could wow your clients. And I have Joanna Lindenbaum with me. Hi, Joanna.
Hi.
And I know Joanna as the creator of the Sacred Depths coaching program. This is just one of many projects and programs that Joanna, you have created. And I'm so excited to have you here because we're going to talk about creating amazing sales pages for your coaching program. It's such an important topic. But before we jump in, can you just say something about who you are, what you do, and we'll jump right into it.
Sure. And I'm excited to be here too. Thanks so much for having me. I train mostly coaches, but also other transformational practitioners and therapists on how to go deep with your clients so that you can co-create the best results with them. So I train people that are completely new to transformation and also people that have been in it for decades and decades on cutting edge trauma-informed techniques.
Yes, and I experienced you in many different ways, both as a partner, as a coach, as just a wisdom giver in so many different situations. I watch, I don't know, you don't know that, but I do watch your videos and I read your posts on Facebook and always think like, wow, she's the wisest woman online. I know
Oh,
you don't think so. You're very humble, but when I read what you write, it's very insightful and very thought-provoking, and it's different from what you see out there, just like really being vulnerable and making people think. So thank you for that. And I want to switch to the topic that I invited you to talk about because I have never seen sales pages for a coaching program of that quality that you create. And reading it, I know you didn't hire a copywriter. I can hear your voice in it.
yeah.
It is very heartfelt, but also compelling. It's not soft, it's not fluffy. It's every time I read something you write, I want to buy from you. So that's a gift. And I just want to kind of dig deeper into that gift, but also technique, because I'm sure this is not just something you were born with. You mastered it in some way. So why do you feel you're so good at creating sales pages for programs, for your
Yeah,
program?
it's such a great question. There's and thank you. And there's a few pieces. And the first and most important piece around being really good and effective at creating sales pages has less to do with the mechanics of it. Put this and that, although we can talk about that today for sure. There are some things that I think are important to put on sales pages. But before that, it's about what I call the energetics, right? So when I train coaches, we talk about the energetics of the practitioner. When we talk about sales pages, we want to think about the energetics of the writer and the entrepreneur. And what that means is who you are being when you sit down to write a sales page, what you believe or don't believe about yourself, about your program, about the people that you're writing to, whatever fears you bring into the writing process are part of the energetics, right? So you can either have aligned energetics, and when you have aligned energetics, you are confident in what you're sharing and what you're selling and your pricing, all of it. When you have aligned energetics, you're being authentic. You are not trying to be salesy or like that marketer or guru that you saw out there, but you're being you. And when you're in aligned energetics, you're also being ethical. And you know that you're being ethical and you're not worried that you're being sneaky in any way.
Yes, yes. And I will ask you if that's possible for me to share one of your sales pages that you um, feel like would be representative. And I tried looking for it at the moment, and there's a lot of different ones that you have. The specific one that I remember is the life-changing courses. So I think is it okay if I share my screen with people? Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm actually gonna go ahead and share my screen, and it really resonated with me because one of the biggest reasons that coaches don't like to create sales pages or marketing in general is because they don't want to feel hyper, they don't want any hype. They don't want any salesy, pushy, um, dirty salesman tactics, and they don't want to feel that way. And so for that reason, many of them don't even try, right? Because then they would have to go into that marketing mode, and it doesn't feel good. And so when I read yours, I'm like, well, I'm not feeling like I'm being sold, and yet I want to buy. That is amazing. So I'm going to share my screen. And here's one of Joanna's pages that I was really impressed with and drawn to, and even wanted to promote it because I just felt so impressed with it. It's the life-changing courses. Um, and this is what it looks like. There's it's inviting. There's a conversation that you're having with people. Um, it's easy to scan, but it's not even like the format. I usually get like, well, you need to format it in a certain way so it's easy to scan, easy to read, easy to find value. But it's the words you use that are so effective. Um, for your audience, for people, you people so well too. I think that that's one of the biggest keys as well. So this is just an example of a page, and you have success stories and people, like, it's alive. Your pages are alive, and it just, the images you choose, like everything is just so evocative. So I'm gonna stop sharing and ask you, what is it that how do you choose the words? I know you said energetics, but there's something about the words that you use that are very compelling, but not salesy. Is there a secret to that?
Yeah, there are a couple of elements that go into it. And first, on just a very practical level, you already said one of them, Milana, which is knowing who your ideal client is, right? So, and we hear this across the board. I do this in the same way that so many others do it, but it is important to say, if, anyone that's listening to this, take some time to create a profile of who your ideal client is, who what their fears are, what they really want, what they don't want, because that will help. But beyond that, there are a couple of other pieces that really help me find my words. And I can't emphasize enough. For a moment, I'm going to go back to the energetics piece. So in order to be aligned in all of those ways that I mentioned before, in order to not feel like that sleazy salesperson that you just mentioned, number one, I am constantly doing my own inner work on my fears that I'm going to be too pushy, or I'm going to be too big, or I'm going to make people angry, or it's going to come off this way or the other, right? So number one, we want to be doing our own work on our fears, because if we don't, we're either not going to find words at all, we're going to freeze up, or we're going to struggle to find words, and we're going to bring those fears into the copy. So we want to be as clean and open and excited as possible. And one little trick, in addition to that harder work of, doing working on the fears over time, but one copywriting trick that I share with my clients is, before you sit down to write any piece of copy, take a moment, get centered and settled in your body, and go inwards and ask yourself, what is the energy that I want to bring to this writing? Do I want to bring an energy of warmth and confidence? Do I want to bring an energy of creativity? Do I want to bring an energy of feeling like your best friend? What is it? What is the energy here? And then it might sound a little hokey, but I really recommend everybody try it. Take a moment and draw that energy into you. Whatever that energy is that you want, bring it into you, feel it in your body, and start writing from there. So that's another piece. Is so often we go from checking our emails or doing the dishes or getting off of a client call straight into, I have to write this copy. Taking just a few minutes to set our energetic space, to feel into our body. What is it that I want to be bringing forward? Not the words or this idea or that idea, but literally the feeling. What is the feeling that I want this to have? Let me embody it. You're going to be more likely to write it.
Yeah.
So that's a really big piece.
Yeah, I definitely feel it. And I just wanted to say that when I read your material, your sales pages, your emails, I always feel like you come from a place of truly, truly caring about your clients or potential clients. I feel almost like there's a warm blanket around me and I can trust this person who wrote it, like I'll be taken care of. Um, so I feel that connection. So it's definitely, it feels like writing a sales page for you, and probably for other coaches, should be part of your inner work. So if you can write your sales page in a way that brings out that energy, and I don't like to overuse the word authentic, but it's don't try to be somebody else. Really dig in, dig deeper into what you want to communicate and how you want to make people feel, is what I'm hearing you say. Let me ask you, Joanna. So I just showed a little snippet of your sales page, but it's very long. And so a lot of people will say, will my potential clients read a long sales page like that? Because I remember those, you've been long enough in the internet space to remember the words long banana sales letters.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So do people still read long sales pages? Talk about the size.
Yeah. So I'm so glad you're bringing this up because it was one of the things I did want to say is I please, anyone that listens to this, go look at my sales pages, use them as templates, please. But what I wanted to say is it doesn't have to be as long as mine. I love words. I am wordy. And honestly, sometimes I think that my sales pages are just a little bit too long. I am always working to down. That being said, I have really found that for bigger programs, for programs that are going to be a big time commitment or energy commitment or financial commitment, I want to be setting the stage for the reader, like you said, to feel that they can trust me, to feel that this is the program for them. And what I've found is that oftentimes people do need a little bit more to hold on to in those cases. So they don't have to go on forever and ever, but you don't also want to skimp on a sales page. You want to write enough for your potential client to get a sense of you and who you are, your expertise, and then of course, for them to see clearly written on the page what their problems are, and then where they'd like to be and how your program can help.
Right, right. And you were starting to say, I feel like as they're reading, with every paragraph that they're reading, they're deciding if this is the right program for them. And so for that reason, I feel like the higher the price point, the longer the sales page needs to be. In that sense, is like they need, as they're reading, they're deciding, which means that they are addressing their fear, or you are addressing their fears, you are addressing their hesitations and inner work that they need to do. And so with every word, every paragraph they read, they're in the process of making that decision. And you always choose these beautiful images that are evocative and colors and headings. Like you do such an amazing job. I almost wish that there was like that you would write a book. You know, Dan Kennedy has The Ultimate Sales Letter, but it's a little outdated. It's also very masculine driven. I read that book and I started writing my own sales letters and I got so much better. But when I saw yours, I was like, this is another level. Holy cow. Joanna, you need to write a book on how to create the ultimate coaching sales letter, right? I think it's just a very much different level of mastery in communicating your thoughts. Is there a structure that you follow? Do you have any kind of structure in mind?
I do. There is a structure, and it's one that I recommend all the time to my clients. And this is for sales pages, for promotional emails, for promotional social media posts. They'll look different in, with each strategy. But number one, you want to, in your writing, connect with a prospect on where they are right now. In other words, you want to show that you really see and know the problems that they have right now, the places where they're stuck, the places where they feel hesitant, the places where they feel aren't working for them right now in whatever you're going to help them with. Now, here's something on that is so important, that feels so important to say. For those of us that are ethical, which I know, we all are, and everybody that's watching this is, we know it is not right to make people feel icky, right? We don't want to make people feel ashamed or more scared because of the places where they're stuck, where they have gaps. And I think a lot of times, what we were talking about earlier, Milana, people that don't want to feel too salesy, it's because they don't want that aggressive ickiness, right? It's the end of the world. You have this problem, and unless you do this program, it's never going to get better. that kind of stuff. There is a way to activate the gap, to speak to clients about where they're at and what their problems are, that is very honoring. That doesn't shame them, but normalizes for them, yes, you're not the only one that has this issue, and it's okay, and you're okay, and there are things that you can do about it, right? Without making them feel terrible that they're in this position. That's the other reason that allows me to write the way that I write and do as much marketing and outreach as I do, is I know I'm not shaming anyone.
And I think we'll consider this your first tip on writing copy, because I know you have a couple more, but I just wanted to pause for a second and say, so you're saying acknowledge where they are, show that you understand their problem, but don't make them feel ashamed of the problem, and honor and normalize it for them. And I think that comes from your trauma-informed approach.
Yes.
I noticed about myself when I became an EFT practitioner, when I studied not only as a client, but also started working with other people in the emotional freedom technique, which is, it's not trauma-informed approach per se, but there is a lot of there's a lot more empathy, understanding, not shaming. All of that is part of learning, to tap through EFT. I noticed that I am now writing and communicating in ways that people take in a lot easier.
Yes. I use all of my coaching skills and transformational skills in my marketing. They are 100% transferable. And you think about it this way, the trauma-informed skills, the transformational skills that we use with our clients, they create transformation. Well, we want to create transformations through our marketing as well. So why not apply all of that?
Well, I will say that if you ever put together a copywriting course from Joanna Lindenbaum, I will sign up, because I think that that is a very powerful skill. It's not just about writing, but it's also about communicating in general, and then being able to communicate the value of your program in such a way that you don't scare people, but you draw them in. And that is really unique way to market. So what's your next
So
tip?
after we activate the gap in ways that aren't shaming and very honoring and really kind of lay out that we see their problems, and what they are, then the next step is to lay out in the writing what's possible for this ideal client, right? Where do they want to be by the time they're finished with your course? And to really lay all of that out, not just the external pieces, but also how will you feel as you accomplish this? And when you accomplish this, what will you believe? What fears will you put behind you? Right. So we want to lay all of that out. And in essence, what we're doing here is with that first tip, laying out where the client, what their problems are, is we're establishing where they are right now. And then with the second piece, their vision, where they can end up, we're establishing where they will be at the end of the journey, you know, of our program, of our offering. So we're setting up these beautiful bookends now of the start and the end of the journey of our course. And again, coming back to ethics, when we lay out the vision, we don't want to overpromise. That is another thing that allows me to be open and clear and excited about marketing and write all of the words that I write without getting stuck, is that I know I'm not making false marketing promises. We've all seen that it can be so inflated out there in the industry, right? So I don't inflate anything. And I never say this absolutely will happen unless it's something I know it absolutely will. I might say these are possible outcomes. This is what is possible for you, right? So we definitely want to make sure we hit all of those vision pieces.
Yeah. I have to share my screen one more time because I was thinking, does Joanna ever do bonuses? Because that's a marketing technique. You know, it's something that you don't want to overdo, and you want to select the right bonuses. And the way you name your bonuses is just brilliant because each title is juicy and like you want the art of client transformation virtual retreat. Ah, I can taste it. And then I see 3 month subscription to coaching Genie, and I forgot this is something that we offered part of your program.
Bonuses.
Yes, yes. I was looking for bonuses to say, oh yeah, that's right. But just everything is the way you name things is very important. Easy peasy curriculum, exercise creation, and inner work worksheets. You didn't just say homework worksheets or templates. It's really every word is like I'm just thinking it definitely takes practice and a come from place of
Yeah.
knowing what your client will respond to and what they'll resonate with. So what I heard in your second tip is show what's possible, lay out the vision without overpromising, and not only the tangibles, but also tell them how they're going to feel and how that will change you moving forward in life or business. That's part of what will attract people as they start imagining what's possible and really believing that they can change. So let's
Yes.
share one more tip and we'll let people know how to get in touch with you.
Yeah. So once you've established that beginning place and that end place, then the next thing you want to do is show how your course or your offering will get people from where they are now to where they want to be. And if it's a course, if it's a group course offering, that's going to be through your modules, right? Because each of the modules is another step that's going to get these prospects from where they are to where they want to be. And I always really like to just, do a short paragraph or a couple of bullet points on each so if I have a lot of modules, I'll pick just some of them. And back to what you were just saying right now, Milana, about naming, you want to name your modules very carefully. And I like to think, what's in it for the prospect? right? For each module or each component of the program, like the worksheets or whatever it is, which is another way that helps them get from where they are now to where they want to be. We title them by what's in it for the client. Why will this be valuable for them? So we do want to lay out, we want to paint a really vibrant picture of how we're going to help our clients achieve the goals that they want to achieve.
Yeah.
So important. And I know you said just one more, but if we have 2 minutes, could I share one more piece because it's so important?
Before you do that, I just want to show people what you were describing. Like you are giving people the tangibles, the deliverables. This is unit 6 or module 6 of your program. And a lot of times you'll see people will say, week 1, this is what we're going to do. And this is when the calls are. Like they're talking a little bit more about the logistics. But what you're doing is you're naming it in a way that draws people in. It's a benefit, and it's a very powerful benefit. Transformational leader and facilitator, and claiming your place. Like every word is just so powerful. And then you're actually describing what you will learn, not how you will learn and when you will learn and what you're going to receive. And I think that that's a big part of the reaction that I got out of just scanning and reading your page, is because it's just really juicy, and you are making text bold in the places where the words are really evocative and desirable. Like these are the things people want. Activate your deeper leadership skills. Like the words are really great, and the way you use them and put them on the pages. And this is a masterpiece to study, I'm telling you. I just love it. Okay, Jana, one last piece.
I'm going to squeeze one more
Yes,
in.
yes, of course.
So in what I always teach my practitioners when they're learning to work with humans, one of the things we cover is that everybody is resistant, right? When people go after their goals, which is why they're going to hire you or buy your course, they want to go after the goals. They want to take the course, but they're also resistant. Oh, it's going to be too much money, or what if I can't make the time, or what if it's not going to work for me, or what if there's too many people in the course, right? Like they're coming up with all of the resistance and the excuses. What is so important is to speak to that on the sales page. So you want to speak to any resistance or obstacle that a potential ideal client may have to taking your course. And a really great place to do that is in the FAQ section. Frequently asked questions to me, in my mind, is resistances and how can I address them, right? So you're going to use the frequently asked questions section to ask any resistance question that's going on in your prospect's mind. Will this really work for me, right? And then briefly answer that question. What if I can't make the calls live? Will it still work? Answer that question. I don't do well in large groups. How will you hold me accountable? And answer that question, right? So you want to think through, for your ideal person, what are their concerns and resistances, and speak to them on the sales page so that it's not a resistance that goes unaddressed and just rolls around in their mind and holds them back.
Would you say that resistances and objections are the same thing, or do you see differently?
They're a little bit different, but what I will say is when someone has fear, like when someone really wants to move forward, but they're scared, they're going to jump straight into any objection they can hold on to. So that's where the crossover is sometimes it's an objection that if the prospect wasn't in their fear, it wouldn't even matter to them. And so that's why I think of it as resistance, addressing resistance.
Yeah. I want you to share where people can find more about you, and just gonna stay connected because you're such a great person to learn from and just to hopefully rub off on us. Your energy, your wisdom, the depths, the sacred depths that you bring to the field of the coaching and transformation. And when you're done, I do have one final question for you that I really would love to know the answer to. So, Joanna, how can people learn more about you? Is there a gift that you have that they can kind of use to stay connected with you?
Yeah, I have an ebook that is all about working with resistance in your client work, and then it can be applied to any of your marketing. And it's really juicy and fun because it doesn't only cover what is resistance and how to understand it, but we go through 6 of the most common, what I call resistance archetypes. The
Mm.
victim, the judge, the needy one, the know-it-all. I recognize
Ooh,
myself in some of those, and it's just a great resource for being able to go deeper with clients and also prospects.
awesome. I will ask you for the link after the call. We'll put it under the video, so hopefully people will be able to easily find it. Thank you so much. I know that we could go on and on. Like if I were to continue, we could definitely, go deeper into the creation process and this getting started. But this is it for us today. And last question I want to ask you is, I know that you created your sales pages before ChatGPT and before AI was, really used to develop copy for content, copy for sales pages. I'm so curious about whether you use AI at all nowadays. Do you use it for yourself, with your clients? What's your view on it?
Yeah, so you're putting me on the spot here. I'm going to say something that some people might not like, but I say it. Last summer, my businessman, I was a little, I wanted to update a sales page and I was working on it, and I was telling my business manager, I'm just like, I don't feel like I'm nailing it here. And she said, well, why don't you put it through Chat GPT? I'll do it for you. And we'll put what you already have and give it some instructions. And here's what happened, Milana. We put it through. I started reading, and the first sentence or two, I was like, this is great. And then as I kept on reading, it was making overblown marketing promises. It took
Mm.
what I had written ethically and I think pulled from so much of what's out there, which is maybe not so ethical. And it turned it into something that sounded amazing, but I personally, I just didn't feel comfortable with it. And that was my last that was my last foray into Chat GPT for marketing.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
I might
use
change, but for now, it's not for me.
I do use ChatGPT quite a bit, but I'll say, and I run my own programs with clients, with groups, and sometimes we need to come up with a great title or a great list of topics or something. And I will say that I reject more ideas than I use um,
Yeah.
because they just don't resonate with me. So it's really a great brainstorming tool, but to actually use the copy that it writes, it's not coming from the heart, and people know it, people feel it. Like you can now recognize that it was not written by a real person. And so please keep doing what you're doing, Joanna, because I love your stuff. So thank you so much. We'll put the link again, 6 resistance archetypes that you can use in coaching and in your marketing and in your writing of the sales pages. So I'm excited to share that gift. And thank you so much again. Any final words of wisdom about creating sales pages for coaching programs?
The last thing I'll leave everybody with is approach it with love. Love yourself, love your future prospects, open your heart. That will bring you to the right energetics.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joanna Lindenbaum, Milana Leshinsky. Have a great day, and I will see you next time.